you're a developer working in the SAP Cloud Application Studio, one of the very first decisions you have to make is all about navigation. How are your users going to get around? It's a choice that really shapes the entire user experience, and in this explainer, we're going to break it all down so you can make the right call.
So let's just dive right in. This choice really boils down to two core philosophies. You've got the classic kind of hierarchical object-based navigation or the more modern context-focused thing-based navigation. Today, we are going to unpack exactly what each of these means for you and the app you're building. Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll compare the two big ideas. Then we'll get into the weeds a bit, looking at the specific screen types or floor plans that each one creates. After that, we'll talk about the really crucial technical differences that you, as a developer, need to know. And finally, we'll wrap up with a clear guide on how to choose your path. Okay, so let's start with the 10,000-foot view. What's the fundamental philosophy driving each of these navigation patterns?
So you've got two camps. In one corner, there's object-based navigation. This is the old-school, traditional pattern you'll see all over SAP Business ByDesign. In the other corner, you have thing-based navigation, which is really the modern standard for SAP Cloud for Customer and other cloud-first solutions.
This slide right here really captures the difference perfectly. I mean, look at the left. The object-based flow is a journey, right? You move from a work center to a list, and then you navigate away to a totally separate screen to do something. But look at the right, the thing-based flow is so much more centralized. The user stays put on that main list, and tasks just kind of happen in these pop-up overlays and slide-in panels. So here's the bottom line. Object-based navigation feels like you're walking through a series of separate rooms. You're always leaving one place to go to another. Thing-based navigation, on the other hand, is like having this awesome central dashboard where you can manage everything without ever losing your spot. And that gets us to the heart of this modern approach. What in the world is a thing? Well, in SAP lingo, a thing is way more than just a record. Think of it as a smart central hub for an entity, like a customer or a product. It pulls together all the important info and all the possible actions from different corners of the system into one single tidy view. Okay, so now that we get the concepts, let's see how this all translates into the actual screens you'll be building in the studio. Now, this is a really key point. When you choose your navigation pattern, it's not just changing the flow. It literally generates a completely different set of screen templates or floor plans for your app. These are the actual building blocks you'll be working with. So let's compare the main detail views. With object-based, you get what's called an Object Instance Floor Plan, or OIF. You know the type. A classic screen with a bunch of tabs, like General, Line Items, Notes, and so on. But with Thing-based, you get the Thing Inspector, or TI. It's a much more compact, all-in-one summary that puts all the key info and actions right there on one screen. No tabbing around. And what about doing quick tasks like creating a new contact? Well, in the object-based world, that means opening a quick activity floor plan. A whole new screen pops up, taking the user away from their list. But in the thing-based world, you use a quick create. It's a perfect example of this modern feel. A little window just slides in from the side, the user fills it out, and they never leave the page they were on. It's just smoother. This same idea applies to just looking at stuff. In the classic model, if you want to see the details, you pretty much have to click and navigate to the full detail screen. With thing-based, though, you get the quick view. A user can just hover or click, and a rich preview of the item slides right in. That's a huge win for workflow, because it cuts down on all that jumping back and forth between screens. All right, let's pop the hood and get a little more technical. For you developers out there, the differences between these two go way deeper than just what the user sees on the screen. So a big one is how you actually connect all these screens. In object-based navigation, you have to manually go into the UI designer and define these things called outports. You can think of them like digital doorways that you have to build yourself, telling the system, hey, clicking this button opens that screen. It's precise, but it's all manual. With thing-based, because the thing itself is so smart, the system handles a ton of that wiring for you automatically, and that can save you a whole lot of configuration time. And listen up, because this next point is an absolute deal breaker. If your application needs to work offline, period, the choice has already been made for you. Thing-based navigation is the only option. It is the required standard for any offline-enabled custom objects. Object-based screens, they are simply not supported offline. Full stop.
And when you do go thing-based for offline, you're not getting a watered-down experience. You get a really robust set of features. We're talking support for custom business objects, the ability to display and edit fields, access to your main Work Center views and Thing Inspector screens. You can even run custom logic with offline script files.
And finally, let's talk mobile. Now, while both patterns can work on mobile, the thing-based components, like that Thing Inspector and Quick Create we talked about, were designed from the ground up for a consistent, responsive experience across both tablets and PCs. They were literally built for the modern, multi-device world we live in.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. With all of that in mind, how do you actually make the final call? Let's put it all together and give you a simple framework for choosing your path. Now, while all the things like user experience and technical features are super important, the single biggest factor, the one that might make the decision for you, is the SAP solution you're building for. Seriously, your hands might already be tied. This table lays it out perfectly. If you are developing for SAP Business ByDesign, you have to use object-based navigation. That's it. It's your only option. But if you're building for SAP Cloud for Customer or another cloud solution, you have the flexibility to choose either one, although as we've seen, thing-based is definitely the more modern and recommended path. So here's your final checklist, your decision tree. First, what's your target platform? If it's by design, you're done, decision made. If not, then ask yourself, what kind of user experience are we shooting for? The classic, multi-screen journey, or the modern, all-in-one-place feel? Next up, do you need offline support? If the answer is yes, it has to be thing-based. And finally, think about development. Do you want that fine-grained manual control of object-based or the faster, more automated setup of thing-based?
And this really brings us to a final thought. You see, thing-based navigation isn't just a different layout. It's a whole conceptual shift. It's about a more integrated, smarter user experience that you see happening across the entire software industry. It's about aggregating all the data and all the actions around a central concept. So the real question to leave you with is this. As our apps get smarter and more interconnected, is the future of all enterprise UI design just all about the thing?